It was Natalie's first day at school, and she felt like a fish out of water. Natalie was unhappy and uncomfortable because she was in a new and unfamiliar situation. The party was a little slow at first, but Bobby broke the ice by offering everyone wine and beer. Bobby relieved the tension and did something to initiate conversation and help people feel more relaxed. It's true I have a sweet tooth, but it's mostly devoted to pastries and especially donuts. I very much enjoy eating sugary foods, but the sweet foods I enjoy the most are pastries and especially donuts. I'm terrible at proofreading my own stuff. I go through it with a fine-tooth comb and I still don't spot all the typos and other mistakes. I'm terrible at proofreading my own stuff. I examine it very carefully with great detail, and I still don't spot all the typos and other mistakes. Before you go into court, you'd better have all your ducks in a row. Before you go into court, you'd better be well organized, prepared, and have all the facts right. I can never seem to keep this printer working. It's out of whack again. I can never seem to keep this printer working. It's not working properly again. The guy I went out with last night really rubbed me the wrong way. The guy I went out with last night unintentionally irritated me due to his general nature and habits. I just can't wrap my head around the fact that people are paying almost $10 for a coffee. I just can't comprehend why people are paying almost $10 for a coffee. It seems strange and baffling to me. I think I'm starting to get the picture. You want to give him another chance. Now that you've explained, I think I'm starting to understand. You want to give him another chance. Louise was being rude to me all day at work. I think she's trying to pick a fight with me. Louise was being rude to me all day at work. I think she's intentionally trying to start an argument with me.
That is 10 idioms. Let's review. Fish out of water. A person who is a fish out of water feels unhappy and uncomfortable because they are in an unfamiliar situation, especially one in which they feel different than the people around them. I always felt like a fish out of water when I was young. I didn't know any kids who were like me. Break the ice. Break the ice means to do something to initiate conversation or get something started in a very tense or formal situation, to overcome the initial shyness or relieve tension in a new social situation such as when people first meet, or to make it possible or pave the way for something to happen by one's actions. Both men were hesitant to make an offer, but someone had to break the ice and throw out a number. Have a sweet tooth. To have a sweet tooth means to very much enjoy eating sugary foods, to have a marked craving or desire for sweet foods like candy and pastries. While this idiom usually includes the word have, as in he has a sweet tooth, the term sweet tooth can be used alone in other ways. For example, those candies really satisfied my sweet tooth. Would you like some fudge?
No, thanks. I don't have much of a sweet tooth.
Go through with a fine tooth comb. If you go through something with a fine tooth comb, you examine it very carefully, in great detail, to hunt through something with great care and attention, to make an extremely thorough and detailed analysis, to look for something in every possible place. I went over the house with a fine-tooth comb, looking for my keys. Then I found them in the fridge. Out of whack. When something is out of whack, it is not working properly, out of adjustment or not properly adjusted, inoperative, out of order, or not in good condition. Sorry, I missed your call. My phone is out of whack.
There's not a monster in your closet, that's just a figment of your imagination. There's not a monster in your closet, that's just something created by your mind. Never sign anything before reading all the fine print. Never sign anything before reading every single word of the document. Walking home alone at night in this neighborhood is asking for trouble. Walking home alone at night in this neighborhood is doing something that is likely to cause problems or be dangerous for you. They've been together for 50 years and are as happy as ever. They're made for each other. They've been together for 50 years and are as happy as ever. They're perfectly matched romantically. You've had your cat for 5 years and it only just now dawned on you that you are allergic to cats? You've had your cat for 5 years and you suddenly became aware that you are allergic to cats? You can stop beating around the bush. You want to borrow some money, don't you? You can stop avoiding the subject and being evasive and indirect. You want to borrow some money, don't you? Louise copied her school report word for word from the encyclopedia. Louise copied her school report exactly as written from the encyclopedia. After the accident happened on set, most people assumed the movie would never see the light of day. After the accident happened on set, most people assumed the movie would never be made available or be known about. You'll have to impress her if you want the job because her opinion carries a lot of weight. You'll have to impress her if you want the job because her opinion is considered important and has influence on decisions. You need to slow down and maybe have a vacation. You're running yourself ragged. You need to slow down and maybe have a vacation. You're keeping yourself too busy and too tired. We're going to take a trip this summer, come hella high water. We're going to take a trip this summer no matter what happens or how difficult it is. I really don't want to go under the knife for this knee problem. I'm hoping physical therapy works. I really don't want to have surgery for this knee problem. I'm hoping physical therapy works. Since the pandemic, telecommuting has become all the rage. Since the pandemic, telecommuting has become very popular and is in widespread use. His new movie relies on cutting-edge CGI effects. His new movie relies on the newest CGI effects that are at the forefront of the technology. I trust Mac about as far as I can throw him. I am suspicious of Mac and I don't trust him very much at all. The new grocery store is open 24/7, which is great for me since I work at night. The new grocery store is open all day, morning to night, every day of the year, which is great for me since I work at night. I was completely in the dark about his plans to start his own business. I was completely unaware and uninformed about his plans to start his own business. By day, he was an accountant, but by night, he was a rock and roll musician. During the daytime hours, he was employed as an accountant, but during the nighttime, he was a rock and roll musician. My job is crazy. I never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. My job is crazy. It is unpredictable and is not likely to stay the same each day. The doctor said he would be right back, but I've been waiting for 20 minutes. The doctor said he would return in a moment, but I've been waiting for 20 minutes. I can't just go on a long trip at the drop of a hat. I have to get time off from work. I can't just go on a long trip without any notice or sufficient time to prepare. I have to get time off from work.
That is 20 more idioms. Let's review some of them. Figment of one's imagination. If you say something is a figment of someone's imagination, you mean that it does not really exist and they are only imagining it. A figment of somebody's imagination is something imagined or created by the mind. The police claimed that her stalker was a figment of her imagination, but they soon learned that she was telling the truth. Carry weight. If a person or their opinion carries weight, it means they are considered important and influential. An idea or statement can also carry weight. For example, Reducing the burden of drug costs carries a lot of weight with older folks. A person can also carry their weight. To carry one's weight means to do one's share or to fulfill one's responsibilities. The company pretended that because I'm older, I couldn't carry my weight. In truth, they just wanted to hire younger folks so they could pay them less. Even though he had retired from the police, his opinion still carried a lot of weight with the younger cops.
Knock off the roughhousing, boys. It's almost time for bed. Stop the annoying roughhousing, boys. It's almost time for bed. That's enough TV, Sean. It's almost time for bed. That's enough TV, Sean. It's almost time to get in bed and go to sleep for the night. Fixing your car by tomorrow is a tall order, but I think we can get it done for you. Fixing your car by tomorrow will be difficult to do, but I think we can get it done for you. This medicine gave me a bad headache. I'm sure it will go away once I get it out of my system. This medicine gave me a bad headache. I'm sure it will go away once my body has metabolized and expelled the medicine. There is something familiar about that guy, but I can't put my finger on it. There is something familiar about that guy, but I can't describe what it is, and I don't know the reason. He's such a pain in the neck. He's always complaining that we can't come out to his house on a moment's notice. He's such an annoying and irritating nuisance. He's always complaining that we can't come out to his house immediately, without any warning. My father is big on punctuality. He says he's never been late in his life. My father thinks punctuality is of the utmost importance. He says he's never been late in his life. Jonathan is really big on fingerstyle guitar. Jonathan is really enthusiastic about fingerstyle guitar and spends much of his time doing it. That lecture bored me to death. That lecture was extremely dull and uninteresting. I'm sick and tired of you leaving the kitchen in such a mess. I'm extremely annoyed that you keep leaving the kitchen in such a mess, and I'm not going to tolerate it any longer. You shouldn't get a bulldog. They are known for being hard-headed. You shouldn't get a bulldog. They are known for being stubborn and extremely willful. I had to put my vacation plans on the back burner. I just have too much work to do. I had to delay my vacation plans for now because I have too much work to do, which is more important. I know he's been talking about me behind my back. I know he's been talking about me in an unfair and unkind way without me being present.
Weather idioms. Weather idioms are idioms that are related to the weather in some way. They are a common type of idiom in English. Here are 10 great weather idioms for you to use in your English conversations, even when you're not talking about the weather.
I thought he was a great friend, but he's really just a fair-weather friend. He didn't even call or visit when I was in the hospital. I thought he was a great friend, but he's really the kind of friend who can't be relied upon in a crisis. He didn't even call or visit when I was in the hospital. The lake is frozen over already. We can go ice skating. The lake is covered with a solid layer of ice on the surface already. We can go ice skating. My car broke down, so I took my husband's car to work and ended up with a flat tire. It never rains, but it pours. My car broke down, so I took my husband's car to work and ended up with a flat tire. When one thing goes wrong, other things seem to go wrong right after, so that negative things happen to excess. We only have 2 people working, the power went out, and everyone is going to want to buy groceries before the snow hits. I see a perfect storm brewing. We only have 2 people working, the power went out, and everyone is going to want to buy groceries before the snow hits. There is a simultaneous occurrence of rare or chance events that together will produce an unusually bad problem. I'd love to go to lunch with you, but I have too much work to do. Can I take a rain check? I'd love to go to lunch with you, but I have too much work to do. Is it okay if I promise to accept the offer later? I know you were expecting an early day, and I don't want to rain on your parade, but the boss says everyone has to stay late. I know you were expecting an early day, and I don't want to spoil your plans, but the boss says everyone has to stay late. Come rain or shine, we are going to go fishing tomorrow, said Uncle Bill. Regardless of circumstances and whether it is raining outside or not, we are going to go fishing tomorrow, said Uncle Bill. Sorry, I'm late for work. It's raining cats and dogs and the streets are flooded. Sorry, I'm late for work. It's raining heavily and the streets are flooded. My father sent me some money for my birthday. I think I'll save it for a rainy day. My father sent me some money for my birthday. I think I'll keep it for a time in the future when it may be needed. Enough with the music career. You need to stop chasing rainbows and get a paying job. Enough with the music career. You need to stop pursuing unrealistic goals and get a paying job. Be sure to read every single word of a contract before signing. Be sure to read every word of a contract before signing, with absolutely no exceptions. Laura couldn't get a ride and there were no buses, so as a last resort, she called a taxi to pick her up. Laura couldn't get a ride and there were no buses, so she relied on her final option, to be used only when everything else has failed, and called a taxi. Teddy must always have the last word on everything. It's so annoying. Teddy insists on always being the last one to speak and making the final remark or decision. John sent flowers to Jane to make amends for standing her up. John sent flowers to Jane to compensate for hurting her feelings by failing to meet her for their date. She was generous to a fault. She once missed paying her own rent because she gave the money to a homeless person. She was excessively generous in a way that was more than necessary. She once missed paying her own rent because she gave the money to a homeless person. I think I can give you that discount, said the salesman, but my boss has the last word in such matters. I think I can give you that discount, said the salesman, but my boss is the person who makes the final decision. You're twisting my words. I didn't say that climate change didn't exist. I said that the real debate is about what is causing it. You're misrepresenting or altering what I said to make it seem like I meant something different than what I actually meant. I didn't say that climate change didn't exist. I said that the real debate is what is causing it. Don't look down your nose at me for eating a burger. You've been a vegetarian for 2 days. Don't look at me with condescension or contempt. You've been a vegetarian for 2 days.
I wouldn't buy anything through a Facebook link if I were you. There are lots of scams, and the sites the links go to are fake. I wouldn't buy anything through a Facebook link if I were in your place or situation. There are lots of scams, and the sites the links go to are fake. I got lost exploring the desert. I didn't have the faintest idea where I was. I got lost exploring the desert. I knew nothing at all about where I was. It's probably just a sprain, but you should have a doctor check it just to be on the safe side. It's probably just a sprain, but you should have a doctor check it to avoid potential problems or dangers. 30 people are coming, but let's make enough food for 35 to be on the safe side. 30 people are coming, but let's make enough food for 35 to avoid any potential problems and provide a margin for error. I had a busy day at work. I'm so tired I can't think straight. I had a busy day at work. I'm so tired I can't use my mind effectively or think clearly. It's been a long day at work. I felt like I was putting out fires all day and got none of my own stuff done. Today felt like a very long day. I felt like I was putting out fires all day and got none of my own stuff done. I got nothing done at work today. I spent the whole day putting out fires. I have a pile of work to finish tomorrow. I got nothing done at work today. I spent the day dealing with small problems or details. I have a pile of work to finish tomorrow. I spent the day with Robert yesterday. We had a good time talking about this and that and going out to dinner. I spent the day with Robert yesterday. We had a good time talking about various miscellaneous things and going out to dinner. Something in their system went haywire, and they charged my credit card $1 100 times in a row. Something in their system went out of control, and they charged my credit card $1 100 times in a row. The doctors were successful in their last-ditch effort to save the patient by performing a dangerous open-heart surgery. The doctors were successful in their final desperate attempt to save the patient by performing a dangerous open-heart surgery. People who say they hate to exercise don't realize that exercise can be an acquired taste. The more you do it, the more you enjoy it. People who say they hate to exercise don't realize that exercise is something that people often don't like at first, but they begin to enjoy it after experiencing it more times. These headaches are the worst. Everything is fine, and then all of a sudden my head is pounding. These headaches are the worst. Everything is fine, and then abruptly, without any warning, my head is pounding. We all had cabin fever during the pandemic. We all had distress and anxiety caused by refinement in a small place for a prolonged period. The road salt they use to melt the ice eats away at my car's metal. The road salt they use to melt the ice gradually destroys and erodes my car's metal. His money problems have been eating away at him for months now. His money problems have been continually worrying him for months now. When I was pregnant, I had a hard time keeping down my breakfast. When I was pregnant, I had a hard time not vomiting up my breakfast.
I'm on the graveyard shift for the next 2 months. Good thing I'm a night owl. I will be working during the night shift for the next 2 months, from late at night to early in the morning. You should listen to my Uncle Jack. He may be old, but he's still as sharp as a tack. You should listen to my Uncle Jack. He may be old, but he's still mentally alert, quick-witted and intelligent. The news of his father's cancer sent Mickey into a tailspin. The news of his father's cancer caused Mickey to deteriorate into a state of panic, hysteria, and anxiety. I knew the movie would be entertaining, but its sheer scope and historical accuracy simply bowled me over. I knew the movie would be entertaining, but its sheer scope and historical accuracy shocked, impressed, and astonished me. Let's keep me buying the land under wraps right now. The sale may not go through, and I don't want to disappoint everyone. Let's keep me buying the land a secret and not reveal it right now. The sale may not go through, and I don't want to disappoint everyone. My wife always waits up for me no matter how late I work. My wife always delays going to bed and waits until I get home, no matter how late I work. Don't trust that guy. He once tried to palm off a fake Rolex watch on me. Don't trust that guy. He once tried to deceive me by trying to sell me a fake Rolex watch as a genuine one. My cousin wants to work on an ocean oil rig. I just don't know if he can hack it. My cousin wants to work on an ocean oil rig. I just don't know if he can tolerate it and cope with the demands of the job. Tom has changed a lot. Back in school, he was a big bully. Once, me and 2 of my friends ganged up on him to teach him a lesson. It seems to have worked. Tom has changed a lot. Back in school, he was a big bully. Once, me and 2 of my friends joined together in an attack on him to teach him a lesson. It seems to have worked. My father was a very gentle and calm man. I never once heard him raise his voice, even when we kids did the most stupid things. My father was a very gentle and calm man. I never once heard him speak loudly in anger, even when we kids did the most stupid things. The tornado was coming, and he raised his voice to be heard over the rushing wind. "Quick, we must get to the shelter." The tornado was coming, and he spoke in a louder voice to be heard over the rushing wind. "Quick, we must get to the shelter." I could go for a nice steak dinner in a big way. I certainly desire a nice steak dinner to a great extent.
Let's take a break from idiom sentences and learn some character idioms. Character idioms are idioms that describe a person's characteristics, whether they are kind or mean, good or bad, and other things about a person. Character idioms can be negative, describing bad qualities, or they can be positive, describing good qualities. Bad egg. A bad egg is a person who, although they seem to be good, turns out to be a very bad person. One who cannot be trusted. Bad egg is the opposite of good egg. I'm telling you, Robert is just a bad egg. I wouldn't trust him if I were you. I'm not surprised at all that he lied. I always knew he was a bad egg. Full of yourself or oneself. To be full of yourself is to be pompous, self-centered, arrogant, conceited, etc., to have an exaggerated sense of self-importance, and to think you are special, or to have an inflated opinion of yourself. This expression is entirely negative, and when we use it, it is because we are annoyed by the person to whom it is applied. Derek is so full of himself, it is a wonder that anyone can stand to be around him. Ever since Mark was promoted to manager, he's been so full of himself. He's become unbearable. Give the shirt off your, or one's, back. To give someone the shirt off your back is to give anything or everything you have, to be extremely generous and helpful, to be willing to sacrifice to help others. Timothy is the nicest guy I've ever met. He'd give you the shirt off his back. Sam never stops trying to help others. He'd give you the shirt off his own back, and if that wasn't enough, his pants too. To have a heart of gold. To have a heart of gold means to be a very gentle, kind, caring, and generous person. Someone described as having a heart of gold may or may not be outwardly friendly or good-natured. Consider, for example, he's grumpy but he has a heart of gold. You've got the wrong idea about Tom. The man has a heart of gold. My father had a heart of gold. He would give you the shirt off his back. To have a screw loose. When we say someone has a screw loose, we mean they behave in a particularly strange or eccentric way. Someone who seems like they may be mentally unstable or crazy. The people in this town have a screw loose. They wear short pants with a heavy sweater during the winter. He refuses to eat any food that is orange. I think he has a screw loose.
Maureen has worked here so long, it's like she's part of the furniture. Maureen has worked here so long, she seems to be a permanent part of the scenery and is taken for granted, undervalued, or ignored. He was coming at me with a knife, so I had to make a choice of what to do. I decided to run for it. He was coming at me with a knife, so I had to make a choice of what to do. I decided to run away from him while I had a chance, suddenly, with no real plan. He ran after the bus, waving his arms, but the bus driver ignored him. He chased the bus, trying to overtake it, waving his arms, but the bus driver ignored him. Someone dropped a hint about possible insider trading going on at the firm, and now they are under investigation. Someone alluded to the fact that there may be insider trading going on at the firm without actually saying it, and now they are under investigation. The actor dispelled the rumors about his alleged role in the new superhero movie by saying, "You shouldn't believe everything you read." The actor dispelled the rumors about his alleged role in the new superhero movie by saying you should not believe or take at face value everything you read in printed publications or online, as you may not realize that it is misleading, fabricated, or inaccurate. Those two were joined at the hip when they were little. I can't believe they don't even talk anymore. Those two were inseparable and agreed on everything when they were little. I can't believe they don't even talk anymore. My aunt will spend $1,000 on clothing without even batting an eye. My aunt will spend $1,000 on clothing with no hesitation or thought, like it is completely normal. The DOJ has been turning a blind eye to this official's crimes, but now he's gone too far. The DOJ has chosen to ignore or overlook this official's crimes, but now he's gone too far.
There is no end in sight to our rapidly expanding population, which means energy demands will continue to grow. We can expect no end to our rapidly expanding population, which means energy demands will continue to grow. He worked hard to build a nest egg throughout his career, but ended up spending it all on hospital bills when his wife became ill. He worked hard to set aside money for retirement or for difficult times throughout his career, but ended up spending it all on hospital bills when his wife became ill.
It's true that dolphins sleep with one eye open. This is because only one half of their brain is sleeping at one time. This is called unihemispheric sleep. Dolphins aren't the only animals that do it. Eared seals and manatees do it, and so do birds. However, unlike these other animals, in cetaceans like dolphins, unihemispheric sleep is the only game in town, guaranteeing that they are never ever asleep at the wheel. At one time was used in the sentence, this is because only one half of their brain is asleep at one time. At one time means at the same time or simultaneously, so only one half of a dolphin's brain sleeps at the same time. The only game in town was used in the phrase, unlike these other animals, in cetaceans like dolphins, unihemispheric sleep is the only game in town. The only game in town is the only available or most desirable option. In this example, it is referring to the only available option. Dolphins can only sleep this one way. It's the only game in town. They are never ever asleep at the wheel. Never ever is simply a more emphatic way of saying never. To be asleep at the wheel refers idiomatically to driving and means not to be paying attention to important things or problems. Dolphins are always aware with the half of their brain that is awake and can see with the one eye that is open. The idiom is used jokingly, since even dolphins can be caught unawares.
The company has changed hands at least 4 times in the last decade. The company has passed from one owner to the next at least 4 times in the last decade. You, of all people, should understand the importance of backing up your claims with actual historical evidence. You, more than anyone else, should understand the importance of backing up your claims with actual historical evidence. We put celebrities on pedestals and actually praise them for behavior that we would find appalling in other people. We behave as if celebrities are more important and even superior to other people, and actually praise them for behavior that we would find appalling in other people. I think it's time I get away from it all and spend some time in nature. I think it's time I go somewhere on a vacation to escape from all the pressures of work and life and spend some time in nature. He had second thoughts about getting married when he was younger, but ended up marrying the same woman 20 years later. He had reconsidered getting married when he was younger, having doubts about it, but ended up marrying the same woman 20 years later.
We're running low on coffee. Could you pick up some on your way home? We've used most of the coffee, so there is very little left. Could you pick up some on your way home?
I wanted yellow onions for this recipe, but red onions will do in a pinch. I wanted yellow onions for this recipe, but red onions will do for a substitute even though they are not ideal in this circumstance. I was in a mad rush to get to work, and I left my phone at home. I was in an extreme, frantic hurry to get to work, and I left my phone at home. I've been trying to interview him, but I haven't been able to nail him down on a time and place. I've been trying to interview him, but I haven't been able to get him to conclusively determine a time and place. My high school had a running track of a kind, but it was barely more than a rough path around a field. My high school had a running track, but it was of a sort that was not very good. It was barely more than a rough path around a field.
Part of the furniture. If someone is part of the furniture, they have been in a place so long that they seem to be a permanent part of the scenery and are taken for granted, undervalued, or ignored. "I've worked in this office for 20 years, said John, and they treat me like part of the furniture. It's time for me to move on. Run for it. To run for it means to run from somewhere to escape captivity or to escape danger or consequences, usually suddenly, without a plan, or before an opportunity ends. The prisoners decided to run for it when the guard's back was turned. To run for it can also mean to run in order to reach somewhere quickly before it is too late. If you want to catch the bus on time, you'd better run for it. Drop a hint. To drop a hint means to give a small, subtle hint about something, to allude to something without directly saying it. I've been dropping hints about what I want for my birthday, but it doesn't seem to be working. To put on a pedestal. To put someone on a pedestal means to behave as if they are more important or even better than other people, to act like someone is wonderful in every way. Try not to put your friends on a pedestal. You are bound to be disappointed. To have second thoughts. To have second thoughts about something, such as a decision, means to begin to doubt it or change your opinion about it, to consider whether something was the right thing to do. He had second thoughts about lending the money to his brother, who wasn't the most responsible person.
Don't invite both Alex and Audrey to the party. They're like oil and water. Don't invite both Alex and Audrey to the party. They are too different and cannot get along with each other. I only use my phone to make calls and to text. I don't need a lot of bells and whistles. I only use my phone to make calls and to text. I don't need a lot of additional features that are added to the product, but that are not essential to its basic function. I'm tired of walking on eggshells around here. Can we please just talk about it? I'm tired of behaving in a very cautious or careful manner to avoid upsetting you. Can we please just talk about it? The guards were told to watch the new prisoner like a hawk as he was very dangerous. The guards were told to observe the new prisoner very closely, carefully and vigilantly, as he was very dangerous. A little bird told me that John is not going to get that promotion. A source I cannot or will not reveal told me that John is not going to get that promotion. So what if she broke up with you? She's not the only fish in the sea. So what if she broke up with you? There are plenty of other suitable persons you could have a romantic relationship with. The teen market is sort of low-hanging fruit for us, especially given the rise of influencer marketing. The teen market is an easy thing for us to take advantage of, especially given the rise of influencer marketing. Your best bet, said the lawyer, is to plead guilty and take a deal for a lenient sentence. The choice or action that is most likely to succeed for you, said the lawyer, is to plead guilty and take a deal for a lenient sentence. Some companies are hoping to head off a strike by raising employee wages immediately. Some companies are taking action in the hopes of preventing a strike from happening by raising employee wages immediately. Everyone was on Tom's side during the divorce. Everyone was supportive of Tom and agreed with him during the divorce. He shies away from the spotlight and doesn't enjoy being treated like a celebrity. He avoids the spotlight, which he dislikes, and doesn't enjoy being treated like a celebrity. I did my homework before buying my new car. It was a big purchase for me. I researched and found out information to make sure I was prepared to make the right decision before buying my new car. It was a big purchase for me. Keep an eye out for deer on the road to my house. They cross the road all the time around here. Watch carefully for deer on the road to my house. They cross the road all the time around here. No, we can't buy you your own car. Do you think we're made of money? No, we can't buy you your own car. Do you think we're extremely rich? The best way to stop wasting so much time on social media is to make a clean break. The best way to stop wasting so much time on social media is to completely and conclusively remove yourself from it. I think we should go ahead and meet face to face to see if we can work things out. I think we should go ahead and meet each other directly, in the same place.
That's just a garden variety green snake. It's not poisonous. That's just an ordinary and common green snake. It's not poisonous. My relatives screwed me out of my inheritance. They are so selfish and entitled. My relatives took my inheritance from me by deceiving me and tricking me. They are so selfish and entitled. Let's go to the airport bar. We have time for a quick one before we have to board the plane. Let's go to the airport bar. We have time to quickly have an alcoholic beverage before we have to board the train. I had to ask my mother to come watch the kids because they are constantly under my feet and I can't get anything done. I had to ask my mother to come watch the kids because they are constantly near me in a way that interferes with whatever I do. The cat is always under my feet. He's going to be the death of me. The cat is always near my feet, so close that I could easily trip over him. He's going to be the death of me. My boss expects me to wait on him hand and foot. I'm not his servant. My boss expects me to do everything for him and attend to all his personal needs.
Bells and whistles. Bells and whistles are additional features that are added to a product, but that are not essential to its basic function. In other words, bells and whistles are fancy but non-essential add-ons or gadgets. This idiom, which often refers to technological products or electronics, can be positive or negative depending on the context. For example, my new car is great. It has all the latest bells and whistles. They haven't changed the product at all. That's just a bunch of bells and whistles. In the first example, bells and whistles are seen as positive additions to the car. These might be features such as a media system or the latest safety devices, for instance. In the second example, the product mentioned is considered to have many useless features meant to make it look more attractive or useful, but which do not actually add real value to the product. Walk on eggshells. To walk on eggshells means to behave in a very cautious or careful manner to avoid upsetting someone. To be careful what you do or say around someone because they are quite sensitive, easily angered or offended. To be careful in handling very serious or volatile matters. Everyone is walking on eggshells around David because he's in such a bad mood. He's been flying off the handle constantly. One's best bet. One's best bet means the choice or action that is most likely to succeed, the best and most satisfactory choice. I have to be at the interview by 5 o'clock. Do you think I should take the interstate? Asked Jane. That's your best bet, said John. Do one's homework. The literal meaning of do one's homework is to do the work assigned by a teacher that is meant to be done at home, outside of the classroom. Figuratively, to do one's homework means to research and learn the facts and details of a subject so that you can be thoroughly informed about it and be prepared for something, like an event, a speech, a decision, or before giving your views on it. It was clear that he hadn't done his homework and was unprepared for the hearing. Garden variety. Something that is garden variety is ordinary or common, not special or extraordinary, without frills or special features. In other words, something that is garden variety is the regular kind of something. The police said that the burglar was just a garden variety opportunistic thief, probably looking for some quick cash for drugs.
So, you were late because you had to wait in line for the new iPhone? I've heard a lot of excuses, but that one takes the cake. So, you were late because you had to wait in line for the new iPhone? I've heard a lot of excuses, but that one is a remarkable example of the most silly, annoying, and foolish ones. There are some good restaurants around here, but the new Italian place takes the cake. They have a butter-poached halibut that will knock your socks off. There are some good restaurants around here, but the new Italian place is an outstanding example of the best ones. They have a butter-poached halibut that will knock your socks off. I get how to open the program, said Kenny, but now you've lost me. Can you explain how to transfer files again? I get how to open the program, said Kenny, but now I cannot follow what you are saying and I am confused. I'm not interested in yes men. I need the people who work for me to think for themselves. I'm not interested in a person who agrees with everything I say without thought or a mindless follower or sycophant. I need the people who work for me to think for themselves. I had a lot of time to kill during my layoff, so I started learning Spanish. I had nothing to do and a lot of extra time during my layoff, so I started learning Spanish. A strange man has been walking back and forth in front of my house for almost 30 minutes. I don't know what he's doing here. A strange man has been walking in one direction and then the other in front of my house for almost 30 minutes. I don't know what he's doing here. We've been arguing back and forth all day and we haven't gotten anywhere. Let's just forget about it. We've been alternately arguing our viewpoints and opinions, one after the other all day, and we haven't gotten anywhere. Let's just forget about it. The doctor had to call in a specialist to figure out what is wrong with my mother. The doctor had to contact a specialist to come and help figure out what is wrong with my mother. Blonde hair runs in the family, so no one can figure out why my brother has such dark hair. Blonde hair is a trait that is shared by many members of my family and has been passed on from one generation to the next, so no one can figure out why my brother has such dark hair.
Figure out. We've used figure out twice in the last two examples. Figure out is an idiomatic phrasal verb that is used primarily in one of two ways. To figure out can mean to decipher or solve, as in a math problem or a puzzle. I can't figure out this puzzle. I don't have the patience for this sort of thing. And, just as often, to figure out means to discover or determine something by thinking about it and weighing the options, or to understand something by careful observation or study. I can't figure out why the current generation is so attached to their phones while ignoring all the people around them.
I can't believe what I did last night at the party. I'll never hear the end of it. I can't believe what I did last night at the party. I expect to have to endure people talking about how I embarrassed myself for the foreseeable future.
Ben loves making things out of the odds and ends he finds in his workshop. Ben loves making things out of the miscellaneous small items, remnants, and unused objects he finds in his workshop. He's not really offended by what you said. He's just pulling your leg. He's not really offended by what you said. He's just teasing you by trying to make you believe something that is untrue as a way of joking or playing a trick on you. I received a letter from Joanna. She says she's doing fine, but if I read between the lines, I think she's unhappy and misses home. I received a letter from Joanna. She says she's doing fine, but if I look for hidden meaning, information, or an implied message that is not actually stated, I think she's unhappy and misses home. Don't jump down Peter's throat just because you're having a bad day. Don't respond to Peter in an angry, critical, and aggressive way, or verbally attack him for something he did just because you're having a bad day. Look, it's not rocket science, said Peter to his dad. You just tap this icon to go to your text messages. Look, it's not very complicated and easy to understand, said Peter to his dad. You just tap this icon to go to your text messages. I've been drinking coffee like there's no tomorrow, and I still can't keep my eyes open. I've been quickly drinking coffee without stopping, continuously, and I still can't keep my eyes open.
Take the cake. To take the cake during the mid-1800s originally meant to win a prize or a competition and thus bring home the honours. which may well have been an actual cake, although the word cake had long been used to mean prize. When something takes the cake, it is a remarkable example of something negative or positive. It may describe something that is very surprising, annoying, foolish, etc. To take the cake basically means to be the most outstanding example in some way, whether negative or positive. It tends to be used more often in regards to something negative. We've had a lot of bad workers here, but he really takes the cake. You've lost me. You've lost me means I don't understand or cannot follow what you are saying. I am confused or bewildered. Sorry, you've lost me. Can you explain that again, please? This idiom is only used during a conversation when one is confused about what another speaker is saying. It is a request for clarity or further explanation. The following idioms are special everyday phrases that are truly some of the most common idioms in the English language. To be fluent in English, you must understand these idioms and know how to use them. Never mind. The idiom never mind is used to tell someone to disregard something, to take no notice of something, to not worry about something, to not be troubled by something, or to not be upset by something. The most common way of using this idiom is to tell someone to disregard something you said or to take no notice of something. Can you chop some onions while I start on dinner, please? Wait, never mind. I forgot you had to help Billy with his homework.
I'm sorry I forgot to put gas in your car.
Never mind. I still had plenty to get to work. I filled up after.
Do you mind? Do you mind is used in two different ways in English. The second way is an annoyed, hostile, or humorous variation of the first. In the first way, do you mind is used as a polite way to ask someone's permission or to ask them to do something. Asking someone politely, "Do you mind if," is like asking them, "Do you object to this?" or "Is it a problem?" For this use, "do you mind" is interchangeable with "would you mind." Another common variation is "if you don't mind." Do you mind helping me carry these boxes? Do you mind if I sit here? In the second use, "do you mind" is used as an exclamation of annoyance at something someone has done or is doing. Let's say your sister is practicing her violin loudly while you are trying to study. Do you mind? I'm trying to study. Both senses of this idiom are not entirely different or separate. The two uses simply express one's mood or intent a bit differently. Do you mind can be used politely or with annoyance. For instance, in the first example, you are asking someone to help you carry boxes. If this person is supposed to be helping you but is not, you may be annoyed. So, you could say, "Do you mind? These boxes are heavy." In the second scenario, you are annoyed with your sister because her loud violin playing is interfering with your studying. It is possible that you would like to ask her to play less loudly even though you are not annoyed or angry. Therefore, the same idiom can be used to express the same thing in a more polite way. "Susie, I really need to study for my exam. Do you mind playing more softly or taking a break for a while?" Do you mind if I change the station? Do you mind if Kerry comes along with us? She's bored and needs something to do. Do you mind? You're letting all the cold air in. Shut the door. Would you mind if I call you back? Someone's at the door. Do you mind if we talk about this later? I'm late for work. Do one's best. To do one's best means to try one's best to do something, to do as well as one possibly can. When we say do your best, we mean to try your hardest to do something as well as you can. Often, this expression is used in response to someone expressing doubt about their ability to get something done. Do your best to finish your assignments before Christmas vacation. If you just do your best, you can stay on the team. I'll do my best to find out who did this, said the detective. Arnie did his best to get us some reservations to the restaurant, but they just didn't have any tables. I hope not. I hope not is used to say that you do not want something to happen or you do not want something to be true. I think the game is going to be cancelled because of the rain, said Tori. Well, I hope not, replied Nick. I think I may need a new transmission in my car. I hope not. That's so expensive. It seems like this pandemic is going to go on forever, said Forrest. I sure hope not, said Carrie. I hope so. I hope so is used to say that you want something to happen or you want something to be true. It is also used to say that you think something might happen or be possible.
I think we can win the championship this year.
I sure hope so.
Are you going to be able to come home for Christmas?
I hope so. I'm trying to get enough time off from work. I only have off Christmas Day. We'll see each other soon. At least I hope so. I think Paul is going to be all right. The accident wasn't that serious.
Let's hope so.
He was always, first and foremost, a loving father. He was always primarily, most importantly, and before anything else, a loving father. If she gets on your nerves so much, then why are you friends with her in the first place? If she gets on your nerves so much, then why did you ever become friends with her in the beginning? Why can't you buy a new video game? In the first place, you already have dozens, and in the second place, you just bought a new one a few days ago. Why can't you buy a new video game? The first reason, among others, is that you already have dozens. The second reason is that you just bought a new one a few days ago. I can't wait for the weekend so I can sleep in and relax. I can't wait for the weekend so I can sleep later than usual, by choice. Don't buy a treadmill. It'll just end up collecting dust. Don't buy a treadmill. It will just sit unused and untouched for a long period of time. If my check doesn't come by tomorrow, I'll be up the creek. The rent is due on Friday. If my check doesn't come by tomorrow, I'll be in a serious predicament. The rent is due on Friday. Sergeant Pressman was always by the numbers, which sometimes rankled his fellow officers. Sergeant Pressman always followed the rules exactly and did things in a precise and orderly manner, as if by rote, which rankled his fellow officers. I'm always down to the wire with my Thanksgiving cooking. I never even have time to freshen up before the family arrives. On Thanksgiving, I'm always still cooking at the very last possible moment and never have time to freshen up before the family arrives. You kids need to simmer down. I'm trying to read and you are literally bouncing off the walls. You kids need to become calm and stop acting in an overly excited or rambunctious way. I'm trying to read and you are literally bouncing off the walls. Vic was always so carefree. but since he was mugged, he's been afraid of his own shadow. Vic was always so carefree, but since he was mugged, he's been extremely timid, nervous, and fearful. My Uncle Henry was the meanest person I've ever known, bar none. My Uncle Henry was the meanest person I've ever known, without exception. He wasn't the greatest cook in the world, but he kept his kitchen as clean as a whistle. He wasn't the greatest cook in the world, but he kept his kitchen perfectly clean and spotless. He won't lift a finger to help his wife, even when she's sick. He will not make even the smallest effort to help his wife, even when she is sick. I have a headache, but all I need is a couple of aspirin and I'll be right as rain. I have a headache, but all I need is a couple of aspirin and I'll be feeling perfectly healthy again. Stop pestering me about your allowance. If you want more money, you'll need to take on more responsibility. Stop bothering and annoying me about your allowance. If you want more money, you'll need to take on more responsibility. Everybody just jammed themselves into the same elevator. Everybody just forced themselves into the same elevator that was too small for them to fit comfortably. We waited out the snowstorm in the cabin. Luckily, it was warm and cozy inside. We waited in the cabin until the snowstorm ended. Luckily, it was warm and cozy inside.
Hi, Sharon. I need to get a hold of Mr. Johnson. Is he in?
Not right now, Tom. Would you like to leave a message?
No, thanks. I'll try to reach him again tomorrow.
Okay, Tom. Have a nice day. I was thinking about painting the wall a mint green color.
I can live with that. Just don't paint it red.
Yeah, I know you can't stand red.
No, I don't mind red. I just don't like red walls.
Hey, Tom, did you hear about Vicky?
Yeah, it's crazy. I just can't get over how they could treat her like that.
I'm not surprised, to be honest, ever since Thompson took over.
Yeah, he's a train wreck.
Do you still want to order food? The Thai place is closed already.
I guess not. Have any ideas for dinner?
Let me see. How does eggs and bacon sound?
That sounds great. I love breakfast for dinner.
Hi, Tom. How are you? Can you please stop and pick up extra paper for the computer printer?
What was that? Did you say to pick up ink for the printer? Sorry, my phone is cutting out.
Can you hear me now? No, I need more computer paper. I'll text you what I need. Thanks, Tom. Catch you later.
Okay, Sharon. Sorry, my phone has really bad reception here.
I'd like to try my hand at tennis. I've never really played it. I'd like to attempt to play tennis for the first time. I don't take kindly to someone telling me how to do my job. I am angered by someone telling me how to do my job. No offense, Mary, but your house could use a cleaning. Want some help? I don't mean to insult you, Mary, but your house could use a cleaning. Want some help? In general, women live longer than men. In most cases, usually, women live longer than men. The search party fanned out across the fields looking for the missing boy. The search party spread themselves out over a large area looking for the missing boy. My father was a man of few words, although he was quite wise. My father did not talk a great deal and used as few words as possible, although he was quite wise. We're just going to walk around today and experience the local color. We're just going to walk around today and experience the unique attractions, points of interest, customs, or unusual individuals that give this place its particular character or make it interesting. I thought you just wanted kitchen cabinets, said the contractor, not a full remodel. That's a horse of a different color. I thought you just wanted kitchen cabinets, said the contractor, not a full remodel. That's a completely different issue. When the university found out the professor had been hitting the bottle again, they insisted that he go to rehab. When the university found out the professor had been habitually consuming an excessive amount of alcohol again, they insisted that he go to rehab. He had a skin cancer scare, so now every time he sees a spot on his skin, he jumps to conclusions. He had a skin cancer scare, so now every time he sees a spot on his skin, he quickly forms an opinion about it without having all the facts. My father was a jack of all trades. He built houses, worked on cars, and even drove trucks. Whatever you needed, he could do it. My father had many different skills. He built houses, worked on cars, and even drove trucks. Whatever you needed, he could do it. It is not true that people on unemployment don't want to work. Most people will jump through hoops to get a job. It is not true that people on unemployment don't want to work. Most people will go through a very elaborate and complicated set of steps and do almost anything to get a job.
First and foremost. First and foremost means primarily, most importantly, or before anything else. This idiom tends to emphasize one thing or person, among others, as the most important. For example, first and foremost, I'd like to thank my director, without whom this performance would not have been possible. The idiom first of alls can also be used the same way, although it sounds less emphatic. First of all, you don't even know how much a bathroom remodel will cost, said Tom. You'll have to get some estimates to find out whether we can afford it. Get on someone's nerves. To get on someone's nerves means to irritate them greatly, to annoy someone or exasperate them, or to interfere with someone's peaceful or calm state of mind. Your ridiculous ringtone is really getting on my nerves. Either change it or put your phone on vibrate. to sleep in versus to sleep late. To sleep in means to sleep later than usual, as on the weekend or while on vacation, by choice and with no repercussions. Another way to say sleep in is to sleep late. However, the two phrases are not always interchangeable. To sleep in always means to sleep to a later time by choice. To sleep late often means to do so accidentally. In other words, to sleep late can mean to accidentally sleep past the time when you are supposed to get up, as for work or other responsibilities. However, you can say, I like to sleep late on the weekend or I like to sleep in on the weekend, and both sentences can mean the same thing. But, for example, if you were late to work and you told your boss, sorry I'm late, I slept in this morning, it would sound like you were late to work on purpose. In this case, you might say, sorry I'm late, I accidentally slept late because my alarm didn't go off. So, to sleep in means to sleep to a later time on purpose, but to sleep late means to sleep to a later time either on purpose or accidentally. The context will determine which is true. Collect dust or gather dust. The literal meaning of collect dust or gather dust describes a piece of furniture or other object that is not moved, used, or cleaned and thus becomes dusty over time. Figuratively, to collect dust means to remain unused, to be untouched and unused for a long period of time. Actual dust gathering on an object is not required for the idiom to be used. In fact, it can be used for non-tangible things like skills. For example, my computer coding skills have been collecting dust. My dad constantly buys new tools for his various projects. Most of them just end up gathering dust. Great! Another knick-knack to collect dust and take up space. By the numbers. When something is done by the numbers, it is done in a precise and orderly sequence that is already determined. The idiom alludes to doing things by rote or mechanically, according to a laid-out plan without any thought or creativity, or, in other words, by following exact rules. Tom doesn't like doing things by the numbers, so he quickly grew bored in his assembly job. By the numbers is similar to the idiom paint by numbers, which means to do something in an uninspired and unoriginal way. While paint by numbers derives from the paint by numbers painting system, the idiom by the numbers is earlier and comes from military drills. It is true, however, that the popularity of the paint by numbers system may have reinforced the older idiom. The new CEO's paint by numbers approach rankled the young and creative staff. Simmer down. To simmer down means to become calm after being upset, angry, agitated, or excited. To regain one's composure. To stop acting in an overly excited, rambunctious, or aggressive way. And in regards to a situation, to become less busy or chaotic. Why don't you call me back later after you have simmered down a bit? I can't help you right now. Once things have simmered down around here, I'll be able to, though. Not lift a finger. To not lift a finger means to do nothing, to refuse to do something to help, to fail to make even a small effort, to refuse to perform some action or to exert oneself. This is always a negative phrase. We never say he lifted a finger to help. We would say he would not lift a finger to help. However, the idiom can be used without the word not, as long as it is in a negative construction. For example, He's afraid to lift a finger to improve the conditions in the factory. He doesn't want to lose his job. My son won't lift a finger around the house. He refuses to do any chores at all. Try one's hand. To try one's hand at something means to attempt to do something, such as an activity, for the first time, and to try to find out whether you like it or whether you are good at it. I tried my hand at painting this summer. The producer of numerous documentaries, he is now trying his hand at directing a fiction film. Local colour. Local colour refers to the unique attractions, points of interest, customs, or unusual individuals that give a certain place its particular character or make it interesting. This is an idiom that is mostly found in printed publications. Don't worry about old Mr. Henson. He's just a harmless eccentric. Think of him as part of our local colour. Jump to conclusions. To jump to conclusions means to quickly form an opinion before learning or considering all the facts. To judge something before having all the facts. To form an opinion about something before you have all the information or have considered all the evidence is to make a decision before considering all the pros and cons, or to guess the facts of a situation based on inadequate information. To jump to conclusions has the connotation of forming a wrong opinion or making a bad decision because of being too hasty and not weighing all the facts and information. Don't jump to conclusions. She may just be busy. Wait a day or so and she'll probably call you.